The toxic mists of Vortex 9 swirled like venomous serpents, obscuring the jagged landscape that stretched endlessly before Ryder Thompson. His environmental suit, a marvel of human engineering, fought a constant battle against the planet's corrosive atmosphere. Each step was a calculated risk, each breath a measured calculation of survival. Ryder's team had been dispatched by the Interstellar Exploration Consortium with a simple mission: survey the planet's mineral potential and assess its habitability. But nothing about Vortex 9 was simple. The planet seemed designed to reject any form of life, its toxic environment a labyrinth of deadly challenges. "Thompson, we're picking up an anomalous reading 2 kilometers east," crackled the voice of Victor Reyes, his geological specialist. The communication system barely cut through the electromagnetic interference that plagued the planet. "Acknowledged," Ryder responded, his voice steady despite the growing tension. They had lost 2 team members already to unexpected planetary hazards, a caustic acid storm and a ground collapse that swallowed their expedition vehicle whole. As he trudged forward, the landscape began to change. The rocky terrain gave way to a marshy region, where pools of iridescent liquid bubbled and hissed. Each step became more treacherous, the ground threatening to pull him under with every movement. That's when he saw her. A figure lay half-submerged in the toxic marsh, barely visible through the thick atmospheric haze. At first, Ryder thought it was another planetary trap. Vortex 9 was known for its elaborate biological camouflage. But something about the form suggested life. "Victor, I found something," he transmitted, his hand already reaching for the emergency extraction equipment. "Possible living organism." The figure was unlike anything Ryder had encountered before. Blue-tinted skin, almost translucent, covered a muscular frame that seemed both alien and remarkably humanoid. Intricate biomechanical markings, or were they scars, traced patterns across her exposed skin. Ryder knew the risks. Attempting a rescue could compromise his entire mission, drain critical resources, and potentially expose him to unknown biological threats. But something in him, a core of human compassion that transcended scientific protocol, drove him forward. With practiced movements, he activated his suit's emergency filtration and life support systems. The creature, no, the being, showed faint signs of life. Shallow breaths, almost imperceptible, suggested she was clinging to existence in this most inhospitable of environments. "Hang on," Ryder muttered, more to himself than to the unconscious figure. His extraction gear hummed to life, creating a protective bubble around them both. As he prepared to move, a subtle movement caught his attention. The being's eyes, startlingly green with vertical pupils that reminded him of a predatory cat, flickered open. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. "Who are you?" The words were barely a whisper, spoken in a language that somehow translated perfectly through his suit's communication system. Ryder's training kicked in. "I'm Ryder Thompson, Interstellar Exploration Consortium. You're safe now." The words felt inadequate, given their impossible circumstances. The being's gaze swept across the toxic landscape, then back to Ryder. A mixture of confusion, wariness, and something deeper, perhaps recognition, played across her features. "Kale," she managed to say, her voice a rasp. "My name is Kale." Little did Ryder know that this moment of rescue would unravel a mystery far greater than any planetary survey. Kale was not just a survivor, she was a key to understanding something profound about survival, about the universe, and about the extraordinary potential of life itself. As he began the delicate process of extraction, the toxic mists of Vortex 9 seemed to watch, holding secrets that would soon challenge everything Ryder thought he knew about exploration, survival, and the boundaries of human understanding. The makeshift medical bay of the exploration vessel hummed with tension. Ryder watched intently as Kale's vital signs flickered on the holographic display, a complex dance of alien biology and human medical technology. Victor stood nearby, his arms crossed, skepticism etched into every line of his face. "We can't keep her sedated forever," Ryder argued, turning to the ship's chief medical officer, Dr. Elena Rodriguez. She needs to wake up, to talk to us. Elena adjusted her diagnostic equipment, her professional demeanor masking a deep curiosity. Her cellular structure is unlike anything in our records. The way she survived those toxic conditions, it defies every biological principle we know. Kale had been unconscious for 3 standard cycles, her body slowly purging the toxic substances that would have killed any known life form. Her breathing was steady, but occasional involuntary muscle spasms suggested a complex internal battle. Suddenly, the medical bay's sensors began to pulse with an erratic rhythm. Kale's eyes snapped open, those remarkable green, vertical pupilled eyes that seemed to hold entire universes of untold stories. "Don't move," Ryder said softly, raising his hands in a universal gesture of peace. "You're safe." Kale's reaction was instantaneous. She moved with a speed that blurred the lines between organic movement and mechanical precision. In less than a second, she had assessed the room, identified potential threats, and positioned herself in a defensive stance. "Where am I?" The words were a command more than a question. Victor couldn't contain himself. "You're aboard the ISC Horizon, approximately 500 kilometers from where Thompson found you on Vortex 9. Care to explain how you survived those conditions?" A flicker of something, pain, memories, a deep-seated caution, crossed Kale's features. "Survival is not a choice. It's a necessity." Ryder stepped forward, his approach calculated but non-threatening. "We found you in a toxic marsh that would have killed any known life form within minutes. Your physiology, your ability to withstand those conditions, it's unprecedented." Kale's gaze locked with Ryder's, a silent communication passing between them. "My people were not always confined to such hostile environments," she said finally. "We were once something more." The medical bay fell silent. Elena's instruments continued their quiet beeping, a stark contrast to the weight of Kale's words. "Tell us," Ryder prompted. What followed was a narrative that challenged everything the human explorers understood about life, adaptation, and survival. Kale spoke of a civilization that had once thrived on a planet now reduced to cosmic dust. A society that had learned to adapt so completely to environmental challenges that their very biology became a weapon of survival. "We were scientists, explorers, survivors," Kale explained. "When our world began to die, we did not simply accept extinction. We evolved." Victor, typically skeptical, found himself drawn into her story. The genetic modifications, the biological adaptations, they were beyond anything human science had even theorized. But something remained unsaid. Ryder could sense it, a darkness lurking behind Kale's revelations. Something about her past, about the reason she was alone in that toxic marsh, remained hidden. As the ship's systems continued their rhythmic pulse, a warning indicator suddenly flashed. Something was approaching. Something that didn't match any known signature in their database. "We're not alone," Victor muttered, his hand instinctively moving to the communication panel. Kale's entire demeanor changed. The hint of vulnerability vanished, replaced by a predatory alertness. "They found me," she whispered, a statement that sent a chill through the medical bay. Ryder looked at her, a mixture of curiosity and growing concern. "Who's found you?" But Kale had already begun to prepare for a confrontation that promised to redefine everything they knew about survival, about pursuit, about the lengths to which a species would go to preserve its existence. The horizon trembled slightly, a subtle indication that their journey had just taken a turn into uncharted territory. The ship's emergency protocols blared a crimson warning across every display. Whatever was pursuing them moved with a precision that defied conventional tracking systems, weaving through the cosmic debris like a phantom hunting its prey. "Evasive maneuvers," Ryder commanded, his voice cutting through the controlled chaos of the bridge. Victor's fingers danced across the navigation console, executing a series of complex spatial jumps designed to throw off their pursuer. Kale stood rigid, her body a coiled spring of tension. "They won't stop," she said, her voice a low whisper that carried the weight of ancient memories. The consortium doesn't abandon its pursuits. Dr. Rodriguez approached Kale, her medical curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. Who are they? What could possibly track us with such determination? A bitter laugh escaped Kale's lips. Not who. What? The ship's main viewscreen flickered, revealing a landscape that was both familiar and utterly alien. As they watched, the toxic environment of Vortex 9 transformed. What had appeared to be a lifeless, poisonous world now revealed intricate structures hidden beneath its corrosive surface. Massive biomechanical constructions emerged from the mists, cities that were part architecture, part living organism. Towers that breathed, structures that pulsed with an internal rhythm, all camouflaged beneath the planet's toxic exterior. My people, Kale explained, learned that survival meant becoming one with our environment. We didn't just adapt to the planet. We became the planet. Ryder studied the emerging cityscape, his scientific mind racing to comprehend what he was witnessing. These structures, they're alive. Part organic, part mechanical. Kale nodded. When our world began to die, we discovered that survival required more than simple adaptation. We needed to become something entirely new. Victor's voice cut through the moment. We've got multiple energy signatures converging on our position. Whatever's out there, it's not happy we're here. The ship shuddered. Not from an external impact, but from something more insidious. Tendrils of an unknown energy began to probe the vessel's defenses, seeking weaknesses, testing boundaries. They're trying to communicate, Kale said, her eyes closed in concentration. But not in any way you would understand. Ryder watched in fascination as bioorganic threads of energy began to weave themselves across the ship's internal systems. It wasn't an attack, it was something far more complex. A form of communication that transcended traditional understanding. We're being scanned, Elena muttered, her medical instruments going haywire. But it's more than a scan. It's like, they're reading our entire genetic history. Kale's expression shifted. For the first time since her rescue, something like genuine emotion crossed her features. Fear. Recognition. Something deeper. They've found me, she whispered. And now they'll find you. The ship's systems began to change. Consoles that were once metallic and rigid now seemed to pulse with an organic rhythm. Walls appeared to breathe, to shift, to become something more than simple manufactured material. What's happening? Ryder demanded, his hand instinctively moving to a weapon that suddenly seemed laughably primitive. Kale's response was cut short by a massive energy surge. The ship's entire environment transformed. What had been a standard exploration vessel now resembled a living, breathing entity, part machine, part organism, entirely alien. We're not just being pursued, Kale said, her voice a mixture of resignation and something close to hope. We're being called home. Outside the ship, the toxic landscape of Vortex 9 continued its mesmerizing dance. Mists swirled, structures breathed, and something ancient and profound waited to be understood. Their journey had become something far greater than a simple exploration mission. They were now at the center of a mystery that would challenge everything humanity thought it knew about life, survival, and the very nature of existence itself. The transformed ship hummed with an energy that defied scientific explanation. What had once been a standard exploration vessel now pulsed with a living, organic rhythm that blurred the lines between technology and life itself. Ryder stood at the center of the bridge, his entire understanding of reality being systematically dismantled. We're being redirected, Victor announced, his voice a mixture of terror and fascination. The navigation systems no longer responded to human input. Instead, they moved with a purpose that seemed almost sentient. Kale stood motionless, her body acting as a conduit between the ship and some unseen intelligence. Thin tendrils of luminescent energy occasionally flickered between her skin and the ship's internal systems, creating a living network of communication. Explain, Ryder demanded, his scientific training fighting against the inexplicable phenomena surrounding them. Dr. Elena Rodriguez approached cautiously, her medical scanner oscillating wildly. It's like the ship is becoming an extension of Kale's biological system. The energy signatures suggest a symbiotic transformation that shouldn't be possible. The view screen shifted, revealing layers of the planet that had been previously invisible. Beneath the toxic surface, an entire civilization lay dormant, a complex network of biomechanical structures that breathed, pulsed, and thought as a single, unified organism. My people were more than just survivors, Kale finally spoke, her voice carrying the weight of millennia. We became the ultimate adaptation. When our world began to die, we didn't just change. We transformed. Suddenly, the ship's communication system crackled to life. But it wasn't a standard transmission. It was a burst of pure information, memories, histories, and warnings that flooded their minds faster than thought could process. Visions of a civilization that had faced extinction flickered through their consciousness. A world slowly poisoned by its own industrial progress. A species that chose evolution over extinction. The ability to merge with their environment, to become something beyond organic or mechanical. We are warning you, a collective voice emerged, neither male nor female, neither human nor alien. The path you seek leads to destruction. Victor's hands flew across the console, attempting to regain control. We're being pulled into the planet's core, he shouted, panic edging his professional demeanor. Ryder moved to Kale, placing a hand on her shoulder. What's happening? What do they want? Her response was cryptic. Judgment. Protection. Preservation. The ship's internal structure continued to change. Metallic walls became translucent, revealing intricate networks that resembled neural pathways. The boundary between technology and life dissolved completely. Your species stands at a crossroads, the collective voice continued. Just as we once did. You can continue your path of destruction, or you can learn. Elena's scientific mind raced to comprehend the impossible. They're offering a choice, she whispered. Not an invasion. A transformation. The planet's core began to reveal itself, not as a molten center of rock and metal, but as a massive, living intelligence. Centuries of planetary evolution compressed into a single, breathtaking moment of revelation. Ryder realized they were no longer just observers. They had become participants in a cosmic experiment of survival, adaptation, and potential redemption. What happens now? He asked, knowing the answer would change everything. Kale turned to him, her green eyes holding the wisdom of a civilization that had faced extinction and found a way to survive. Now, she said, we choose. The ship continued its descent into the planet's living core, carrying with it the hopes, fears, and potential of two species on the brink of an unimaginable transformation. The boundary between consciousness and physical reality blurred. Ryder found himself suspended in a space that was neither completely corporeal nor entirely abstract. Memories, his own and those of an entire civilization, cascaded around him like living streams of light and information. He saw their history. The civilization that was Vortex 9 had not died. It had transformed. Millennia ago, they had faced a choice identical to humanity's current predicament. Environmental collapse. Resource depletion. The slow, inexorable march towards self-destruction. But where humans continued to fight against their environment, this civilization had chosen a different path, complete symbiosis. You are witnessing the crossroads, the collective consciousness spoke, its voice a symphony of countless individual experiences. Adaptation is not about conquest. It is about harmony. Victor's voice cut through the ethereal landscape. We can't just abandon everything we know. A wave of collective understanding washed over them. Images of human potential, of scientific breakthroughs, of compassion and resilience, intermixed with the alien civilization's own history of survival. Kale stood as a bridge between worlds. Her body, part organic, part something entirely new, represented the potential of true adaptation. Survival is not about preservation, she explained, but about evolution. The planetary intelligence showed them potential futures. Humanity continuing its current path, environmental destruction, resource wars, potential extinction. And an alternative path, a collaborative existence, where technology and nature found a delicate balance. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, her scientific mind racing, began to understand. We're being offered a choice. Not conquest. Not submission. But coexistence. Slowly, the ship, no, the living entity they had become, began to reconstruct itself. Not as a human vessel, not as an alien construct, but something entirely new. A fusion of two civilizations' understanding of survival. Ryder felt a profound shift in his perception. The boundaries between individual and collective, between human and alien, between technology and life, dissolved. We cannot force your evolution, the planetary consciousness explained. But we can show you the path. Tendrils of biomechanical energy began to integrate with the human explorer's systems. Not as an invasion, but as an invitation. A chance to see beyond their limited understanding. Victor watched in awe as his computational systems expanded, integrating with the planetary network. Elena's medical understanding transformed, revealing layers of biological potential she had never imagined. And Kale, she was both guide and bridge, the living embodiment of what was possible when a species chose adaptation over extinction. As they emerged from the planetary core, the ship was no longer just a vessel. It was a living testament to the potential of collaborative survival. The toxic surface of Vortex 9 had transformed. What was once a deadly environment now pulsed with a delicate, intricate ecosystem. We have a choice, Ryder said, looking at his transformed crew. To fear what we don't understand, or to learn. The universe stretched before them, not as a battlefield to be conquered, but as a complex, interconnected system waiting to be understood. Their journey had become something far greater than an exploration mission. It was a bridge between worlds, a testament to the extraordinary potential of life itself. As they sailed into the cosmic unknown, hope burned brighter than ever before, a hope born from the understanding that true survival lies not in resistance, but in adaptation.